When you sit down, you feel overwhelmed, you're processing emotions, you're flooded with emotions. Pick up a piece of paper and be like, what am I feeling today? Or what's on my mind today? And then start writing. And once you're done writing, let's say it's only half a page, ask another question to yourself. And what else? What else is on your mind? Right? Because when your brain is super clear and you've journaled it on a piece of paper, whew, you feel so much lighter. You feel so much lighter. Hi, my name is Moe Ghias. Essentially, I'm a kid who's obsessed with winning. Hello. Welcome to Healthy Systems Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Mo. And today's episode or today's healthy system is something I know all of you will get value from. So whether you're driving right now, whether just listening to it on your run, your workout, just do this after, or if you have a pen and a paper right now, this will also be super helpful because the topic of today's healthy system is how just 1 minute of journaling can transform your fitness, your mindset, your faith, your finances. And I'm telling you, this is without any of that TikTok guru nonsense. You see way too much content where people are like, yeah, like this little morning journaling changed my life or helped me make another $10 million. A lot of those people are now making $10 million, right? So they're just lies. So at the end of the day, just be aware. There's a lot of marketing out there that just doesn't serve you. But here at Healthy System, you know, your boy Mo keeps it real because not only do we have success in real life, but we also had success in academic world. And I had a life outside of this, coaching world. So today I'm going to keep it very real and show you based on my experience over the last decade, the things that work and the things that are actually wasted your time. So if you've ever felt stuck, overwhelmed, unsure of why you keep repeating the same habits, this episode is for you. Okay? Because the thing is, there's far too much information out there and there's far too much advice out there. And there's too many people trying to tell you to get in alignment or do 2-hour meditations every single day or have a 3-hour long morning routine. I'm telling you, you don't need any of that. Right? The goal is to keep things simple. And far too often, the people that are giving you that advice, trust me, back when I first started in coaching 10 years ago, I lived in Venice, California. I lived in Southern California. I was there in the scene. I was friends with a lot of these people, a lot of these influencers that, talk about this stuff. Most of them aren't even in the game anymore. Most of them shut down their channels. Most of them went and got jobs. They kind of just left all of this world of coaching because they just couldn't do it. They couldn't keep their business profitable. So how are they going to give you advice, right? So you don't need any of that. What you actually need is clarity. What you need is structure, and what you need is the truth. So today I'll give you all of it, okay? I'm going to give you a journaling system that's super simple, doesn't cost you any money, and it's going to actually unlock a lot of clarity in your brain. It's going to teach you how to process your emotions. It's going to teach you how to break plateaus and stay consistent even on your busiest days. So here's why journaling, even for a little bit, you don't even have to do it every day. But a couple of times a week, 5 minutes or so, is such a great exercise, such a great habit to get into, right? Journaling, what it does is that it increases self-awareness. So one of the best things it does is when you have so much going on in your head and you feel overwhelmed, there's way too much, clutter in your brain. Putting things on paper, remove things from your brain and actually make them a physical, objective thing you can look at. So that's why journaling is great. Again, for me, I like to journal a couple times a week. And journaling can also be just writing a to-do list sometimes or processing your emotions on a piece of paper or even on a note card. But the best way to do it is to have a notebook. Okay. So if you have a notebook, you can use maybe set it right next to your bed. And every morning you can do it. Every evening you can do it. Whenever you have some time, you can do it. And journaling doesn't even have to be writing. Sometimes it can also be videos. So there were times in my life when I would just record videos for myself to watch later on. So if I was going through something super stressful, I would do a video journaling, video diary for myself. And I would remind myself whenever life got really good, I would go back and be like, man, that's where I was at one point. And those are the thoughts that were haunting me. And life was hard back then, right? So it's like doing things like that really helps because what it does is it removes you from the moment. It removes you from oh my God, all these things happening. You know what I mean? And another thing it does in my personal life is too often I see people that are always, they're very overwhelmed all the time. And when you meet those people, you don't like hanging out with them. I don't like associating with them because I'm like, man, this freaking person is always overwhelmed. Like your ability to handle stress determines the success you have in life. Your ability to handle stress will determine the success you have in your life. So if you're always overwhelmed, it just shows weakness. It shows softness. It shows you cannot mentally regulate your own emotions. You can't really regulate. So for you, if you're somebody that struggles with that, but you always are looking for a tool, here's a tool for you. It's journaling. Okay. Write down what's going through your head. What's on your mind? Just start writing. Okay. This will also make you a great writer. And writing is such a superpower, by the way. Even in the world of ChatGPT, AI, all of that, if you can write well, ChatGPT will like you even more. You'll write even better. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, journaling is going to really help because you cannot fix actually what you don't track or acknowledge. And even in fitness, I see this a lot. Clients who are more self-aware, they're actually able to get faster results than clients who are not self-aware because when you have self-awareness, you actually see a direct difference between what you are saying you're going to do and what you're actually doing. And the more in cohesion you can be with who you are and what you're doing, the easier this whole fitness journey goes, right? So at the end of the day, journaling will help you achieve that. So now let's talk about the Titan reflection system that we teach our clients oftentimes, which is like, how do you actually do this step by step? So what you're going to need, especially when you sit down to write, the first couple of times, you're going to be like, Mo, where do I start? Well, like, where do I start? What do I write? And that's where having prompts really helps. This is a simple one I like using, which is, how am I feeling today? Or another one that sometimes my friends would ask me is, what's on your mind today? It's such a good question. We actually use that question in coaching a lot. So if we, are talking to a client and the client feels overwhelmed or something like that, we're just like, hey, what's on your mind today? What's on your mind today? And what else? You know what I mean? So you can totally use that on your own journaling prompt. When you sit down, you feel overwhelmed, you're processing emotions, you're flooded with emotions, pick up a piece of paper and be like, what am I feeling today? Or what's on my mind today? And then start writing. And once you're done writing, let's say it's only half a page, ask another question to yourself. And what else? What else is on your mind? Right? Because when your brain is super clear and you've journaled it on a piece of paper, you feel so much lighter. You feel so much lighter because now all that clutter in your brain, you've just gotten it clear. And I like to journal around the 4 areas I teach my clients, and I've taught a lot of you, which is the 4 F's of life. So if we truly want to live a truly fulfilling, healthy life, we're going to need to have these 4 areas in order. First one being faith. Actually, they're not in any particular order. They're just the 4 F's of life. You can literally journal them however, but it's basically faith, family, fitness, and finances, right? Faith, family, fitness, and finances. If you're missing one of those areas, your life will often feel unbalanced. You'll be like, man, I'm missing something, right? But if you have all 4 of these areas checked off, what's going to happen is you're truly going to have a more fulfilled, complete life. And I think that's what we all want, right? I see way too many people optimize for finances and then ignore their family. So then when they have all the finances, they got all the money and the Gucci bags and the yachts or whatever, they have no family, no kids, no spouse, nobody to love them. And that is also very lonely. But then you also have people that hyper optimize on family. So they build a big family, but they have no finances. So that creates a lot of problems, right? You also have people that take care of finances and family and completely ignore their fitness and health. So then now you're ending up in the hospital and you're not healthy and you're actually having knee pain, back pain at a very young age, and you have diabetes, high cholesterol, hypertension at a very young age. And then you also see this with people that actually do family, fitness, and finances and totally ignore their faith. So now as they're doing it, man, they're like, man, why does my life just not feel fulfilled? I feel like I'm not working for anything bigger. My kids are, mad at me, and my wife is mad at me, and like business is struggling. And like, even though my fitness is good, I just don't feel great internally. And that's when they're missing that faith aspect, right? They're not, I'm Muslim. I grew up religious. And there was time in my life when I was more spiritual than religious. And over time, I came back to the religion side. But religion and faith are a very personal thing. Everybody's different. You know what I mean? Do what works best for you. But having some kind of faith-based practice really helps, because then you're working with something bigger than yourself, right? And when you have God, kind of helps all the other areas. Like I know having faith helps my fitness. I know having faith helps direct my finances. I know having faith helps direct my family, right? So it's like faith, family, fitness, finances. When you have all four of these, at least on balance, you're going to live a truly fulfilled life. When one of them is over, there will be seasons actually, when one of them is taking more time than the other. That's totally normal. Totally normal. But as long as you maintain the others while one is taking priority, that's completely fine too. And actually, one of the ones that I've been hearing a lot more about lately is a lot more often people sacrifice their fitness and health to go all in on their career. And I think that's a losing battle. I see this a lot in my healthcare workers, in my doctors, in my people that go through training for 10 years, they totally neglect their health. And then by the time they become a doctor and start making $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year, what they find is they have a big, dad bod going on, really out of shape, back pain, hip pain. And now they're supposed to teach their patients about health, but they're not healthy themselves. So you see how it's such a losing battle if you don't maintain all of it, right? So at the end of the day, journaling will help you realize which area are you lagging behind. So you can definitely journal on this today when you get home, or you can do it right now. Write down faith, family, fitness, finances, and then journal on how you're currently doing in each. And if you're not doing well, ask yourself, what is one thing I can change this week? What is one action I can take this week to make an improvement in this area? And maybe the action is to hire Coach Moe. And in that case, you can just find me on Instagram and Facebook, or go to our website, twtt.us, and then apply to work with us. That's one way to do it. And, but overall, these systems will really help you. And I've seen this time and time again. We've had clients journal at night. So as part of their evening routine, we would have clients just write down what's on their mind, how they did today. And then all of a sudden, those clients end up becoming more self-aware. They have more gratitude towards their progress. And they end up losing 20 pounds, 30 pounds just by literally realizing the pattern that was leading them toward emotional eating or stress eating or things like that. So I know this will help. And this has helped a lot of people, even in business consulting. Far too often, you see people self-sabotage. You see people, when business is doing well, they get a little uncomfortable. They're like, yeah, I'm going to go start another project. And then they literally turn off what's working and go do something else. And then the second thing fails and the first thing is failing and everything starts failing. So as humans, we're very good at self-sabotage. And the only way to really beat self-sabotage is journal, reflect, right? Far too often we go through a painful experience and we think we learned. No. Pain plus reflection equals progress. Pain alone does not equal progress. Could be all the pain in the world and completely, continuously repeat the same pattern. But if you can reflect, if you can journal, if you can pause, it's like, whew, let me take a minute. What's really going on here? And you reflect and your brain starts looking for answers. So then you're going to be like, man, am I truly self-sabotaging here? You also see this a lot in the family side of things with the relationships. So we all have friends that just struggle with the relationships, right? So maybe they were in a relationship. It ended up really badly. They were like with a really toxic person, or they were the toxic one, who knows? But overall, they were in a really tough situation. But then that same friend gets out of that relationship a month later, is dating somebody that's also toxic, continues to do the same thing. And it's, to be honest with you, the natural inclination is there, because now when you're in that toxic cycle, if you don't reflect, you want that same thing again because it's freaking exciting. And whenever a good person comes into your life, you find them boring. You're like, I don't want to settle. I'm going to just go after the exciting stuff again, the ambition again. Excitement often looks like ambition from the outside, right? And it's just toxic emotions. So then they keep repeating the same pattern. And you're like, man, Johnny, why are you doing that? Karen, why are you doing that over and over again? Right? You're such a mess. But what you don't realize is Karen needs to journal a little bit more. She needs to really reflect. Nobody can change that for them, right? Only they can do that. So at the end of the day, This is what help prevents you from becoming that Karen or Johnny who's just repeating the same patterns over and over again. This journaling practice, if you can truly reflect on those things, you catch yourself. Like I find myself doing this a lot. So fitness was the first thing I did 10 years ago that gave me that ability to like notice what was going on. Because the first thing you learn in proper fitness coaching, not this like bullshit little hippie stuff, like, oh, just get in alignment, like real fitness coaching. I'm talking how we coach, right? We will teach you strength training. We'll teach you the reps and the sets and the exercises and really strengthening the body. We'll also teach you how to actually keep track of your nutrition, what you're eating, what's going into your body. How do you feel afterwards, right? That's legit stuff. That's what we do. We don't believe in any of the bullshit stuff. We actually believe in doing the things that actually get you results. So when you do that, what happens is you start catching yourself, right? I remember I had a client once, this is like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and I was on a coaching call with him. His name was Berto. And I was talking to Berto, and he said, yeah, coach, I was on the target. Everything was great until Friday night. And then I was like, what happened? He goes, I ate a bunch of chocolate chip cookies. I'm like, that's fine. Like, what happened? Problem wasn't chocolate chip cookies. I'm like, what happened? He goes, I moved into this new apartment, and these neighbor girls, they live in our the apartment next door. They baked me a lot of cookies and baked us a lot of cookies, and they brought them over. I was like, so is that all it takes, Berto, to get you off track? Send some girls with cookies and that's it? And dude, in that moment, it hit him. He's like, man, I'm vulnerable. I'm so vulnerable. Because, and you can't, like, I catch myself doing that at times, right? Let's say I'm hungry and I go to the grocery store. As soon as I walk in, they got those muffins and stuff like that. Whew. Right? I can change that by not going to the grocery store hungry, but that only comes from reflection. So let's say one day I do mess up and I do overeat and I do get to a point where it's like, yeah, man, not smart. That was not a good decision because I keep track of my nutrition and I have goals and I want to maintain a six-pack abs and I want to be healthy and lean and strong. But if I catch myself falling into the same patterns over and over again, that means I'm not really learning or reflecting. So reflection helps you. Reflection helps you see where you messed up today. You know what I mean? And it helps you prevent that self-sabotage. Because every decision you make, it sets you up for the next decision you make. So if you start your morning with a high sugary breakfast, now an hour later, you're going to want more sugar. But if you start your day with some healthy eggs and some Greek yogurt and some high protein, then the rest of your day, you're just setting yourself up for success because then your body will crave less sugar. Okay. These are all things like even right now, I am drinking black coffee. Why do I drink black coffee? Because it gives me room to later, if I want to have a cookie or something, I'll have that room to be able to do that. But in the morning, I don't want to start my day off with a sugary latte with like 49 grams of sugar and 500 calories. Right? That just sets me up for failure. And I wouldn't be able to communicate my thoughts on this Healthy System podcast properly to you guys. Right? And that is reflection. Oftentimes, like I know I'm not the best podcaster in the world. So oftentimes when I'm walking, I listen to my own podcast, not because I'm self-obsessed or anything, but I want to know where I messed up. Were my thoughts clear enough? Right? Was I able to communicate, articulate myself well enough to where you got the point? Because so often we communicate in ways that we get misunderstood. But what if we aim to communicate in a way that we cannot be misunderstood? You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, journaling helps with all of that because once you start journaling, you're literally teaching your brain to structure your thoughts properly, kind of like an engineer writing code because the computers are pretty ruthless. So I went to my undergraduate was computer science, was never a great programmer to be honest, but I learned a lot in that process. One of the things that I learned is algorithms. So when you write code for a computer, whether in Java, Python, any of the programming languages, any of them, you really have to structure your thoughts properly, line by line. Because if you don't, what's going to happen is the computer is going to just throw an error. The compiler won't be able to compile your code. So it just teaches you really articulate thinking. Even now, actually, some of my best friends are computer scientists. That's why I've never been a big fan of like the hippie manifestation crowd, because what I feel like the hippies, like they not only tell, like what they do is they take it to the extreme. Meditation has benefits. Yeah, 5 minutes of it, 10 minutes of it has great benefits, right? Journaling, 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes has great benefits. But I feel like the hippie crowd just takes it like 9 steps ahead. They're like, yeah, if you don't have a 3-hour morning routine, or if you don't manifest, if you don't scream in front of the mirror, I am a millionaire, I am worth $10 million, I'm worth 6-pack abs, I have a healthy body, and their body looks like, crap. It's like, bro, those affirmations don't mean much unless you take action. So the one thing I love about my computer science and engineering friends is we're all very logical. We're like, hey, like there's a reality of this world that we live in. You know what I mean? Just screaming in the mirror, you're worth $10 million is not going to bring you $10 million. It just won't, right? Even Islam, like being a religious man myself, even Islam tells you to tie your camel, right? So if you own a camel, don't just be like, oh, God, protect my camel. It hopefully doesn't run away. No. Islam actually tells you to tie the camel because they will run away and then you lose your animal, right? So actions. And the one thing I love about my computer science friends or the software engineering friends is because they're very logical. So oftentimes they're too logical. I try to be in the middle. I'm like logical plus human. You know what I mean? That's the perfect combo. And if you want a really good book by a computer scientist that takes this into account, it's called Clear Thinking by Shane Parrish. And Shane, I'm pretty sure he was a former computer scientist, and now he runs Farnham Street, which is a great company, and they have a newsletter, and they share a lot of really good insights about wisdom and life. But overall, journaling. Don't overthink it. Set a timer on your phone for 60 seconds. Use your notes app. If you writing is actually even better than typing on your phone. So, or you can even do it on a Google Doc. Doesn't matter. But learn to structure what's in your brain. Put it on a piece of paper. Just journal. Right? Just commit to 1 line per day, commit to 1 paragraph a day, 1 page a day. Anything you're doing is great progress. And you're not really journaling for perfection. Nobody's going to read it. It's just for you. I want you to just journal for awareness. What's on your mind today? Just journal on that. What's on my mind today? What's bothering me today? And then ask yourself, what else? And what else? And what else? Eventually you run out of things and then you get up and go. Okay, the first time you do it, it might take a little bit longer, but I like being cute about it. So what I normally do is like I make myself my favorite cup of coffee, or I would go to a really nice coffee cafe in the area, and then I would sit down and journal there. So there are all these different things we can do. So you don't need a perfect plan, just need better awareness. And you certainly don't need more motivation. You need a better plan, and you need a proper reflection on how you're doing with that plan. So I hope this helps. I know I kind of went off tangent on some of these things, but I hope it all brings it together. You need proper reflection, and you also need to avoid a lot of the traps that this like reflection world can get you into, because there's a lot of people trying to sell you the next marketing program, and you actually don't need that. You can just keep it super basic and focus on the things that are worth improving, which are the 4 F's of life: faith, family, fitness, finances. Journal on those and let me know how it goes. Matter of fact, send me a picture of your journal on Instagram or Facebook. I'd love to see that you actually took action. You can message me on Moe Ghias, MoeGhias on Instagram and Facebook. And if you want to become a client and you want to take your health and fitness to the next level, we don't run any ads to our healthy systems. We don't have any sponsors. We don't really want any sponsors. The only sponsor we have is Training with the Titans, which is my online health and fitness coaching company, which has been around for over a decade, nearly a decade, and we've trained over 1,500 clients. So if you want to become a client or just want more information, you can book a free consultation with us at twtt.us. Again, TWTT, which is just short for Training with the Titans, twtt.us, or you can just find me on Instagram or Facebook at Moe, M-O-E, Ghias, Ghias. And I hope that helps, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you for listening to the Healthy Systems podcast. I really appreciate you for tuning in today. Now, here are 2 ways I can help you for free. 1, you can join our free Facebook community by just going to this link, bit.ly/Titan Facebook group. Just type that into your browser and then answer 2 questions, and then we'll let you into our Facebook community where you'll meet other people, as well as we have a lot of free resources in terms of meal plans, workouts, all kinds of stuff in there. Second way I can help you for free is if you follow me on Instagram at Moe Ghias, M-O-E, G as in George, H as in horse, I as in India, A as in apple, S as in Sam. Follow me there and then shoot me a message with the word healthy systems, and then I'll be sure to send you a free gift. Other than that, keep listening in, and I really appreciate you.